Hey, welcome back to Life Sculptors Podcast, where we help your life take shape by having conversations about all kinds of things. Particularly, we read children's books and then we extract from them life concepts. That's the way we'll describe it, life concepts. So, I'm your host, Dante Poole. It's my pleasure to lead you in this conversation. And I'm so glad that you continue to check in, to have the conversation with me. Love that you're commenting and just engaging in with me. And as always, there is something great that we can talk about. And today's read is called Unlovable by Dan Yacarino. Dan Yacarino, thank you, brother. Thank you. So let's get into this read. And again, my apologies to all my pug owners, because you see the picture of the pug right there. I'm not trying to call your dog ugly. I'm just saying he's in this book and I just want to read it. Okay. So, Alfred, is the name of the dog, was unlovable. At least that's what the cat told him every chance he got. You've got the ugliest mug I've ever seen. No one could love you. Alfred tried his best to ignore the remarks, but it was difficult, especially since the cat had taught the parrot to say, unlovable, squawk, unlovable, whenever Alfred walked by, and the goldfish gurgled in agreement. But what was it that made him unlovable? His snoring? The way he ate? His little curly tail? None of the neighborhood dogs would have anything to do with him. I mean, his mouth was too small to hold a ball, a big German shepherd sneered. His legs are way too short for running, sneered a greyhound. A pampered poodle chuckled. Did you see that face? Beat it, shrimp, growled the Doberman. You couldn't even scare a mailman. Alfred didn't like staying in the house since the cat was always making fun of him. The parrot was always squawking, unlovable, and the goldfish was always gurgling in agreement. So Alfred spent most of his time alone in the backyard. One day, a new family moved in next door, and Alfred tried to see if they had a dog who might be his friend, but he was too little to look over the fence. As he was sniffing around, he heard someone and something on the other side. Hello, Alfred called. Hi, came the answer. I'm Rex. I just moved in. My name is Alfred. And without thinking, he blurted out, I'm a golden retriever. Glad to meet you, Rex replied. Alfred and Rex talked for hours. Alfred said he liked sleeping in the sun, dog food, and scratching. And Rex did too. Rex said he hated baths and hated going to the vet. Alfred did too. It began to get dark, and soon it was time for dinner, and they both went inside. That night, Alfred thought about how much he liked Rex and how much they had in common. Then he thought about the fib he had told. Alfred was sure they'd be friends, as long as Rex never saw how unlovable he was. The next day, when Alfred and Rex were chatting, a squirrel jumped onto the fence between them. They both barked at it. The squirrel took one look at Alfred and climbed up a tree. Rex said, You sure showed that squirrel who's boss, Alfred. But Alfred was thinking, if Rex ever sees me, he'll run away too. Poor Alfred. I'm going to dig a hole under the fence, Rex said one day. Then I can squeeze through to your side and we can meet. Alfred heard Rex digging, and when he heard Rex wiggle under the fence, he ran and hid behind a bush. Then he heard Rex call, Alfred, where are you? Suddenly, Rex poked his head into the bush where Alfred was hiding. You look just like me, gasped Alfred. Wow, this is great, said Rex. You're not a golden retriever after all. Alfred had to laugh. Who cared what others said? Rex was his friend, and Rex liked him just the way he was. Together, Alfred and Rex ran. They jumped, they played, and Alfred never felt unlovable again. The end. Oh man, unlovable. Y'all, in this us versus them culture surrounding us, it's just getting even more toxic to be different, to just be our most authentic selves. Like the one thing that we all have in common is our humanity, but this somehow is disregarded, and our opinions seem to have become the measure of our connection. We all have had people in our lives whose opinions and whose words seem to matter more than they should. Like Alfred, we have people that may tell us that we're not good enough, we're not tall enough, we're not fast enough, we're not enough. And for whatever reason, what they say means even more than what we say about ourselves. And if we aren't careful and mindful of this, our words start sounding like their words. Our thoughts start sounding like their words. We begin to own thoughts and feelings that originated externally, but have now become internal. And like Alfred, we too can feel unlovable. See, part of the reason why we don't feel love is because we struggle with knowing what it is, first of all. Let's just start there. Like if you attended a wedding anywhere in your lifetime, you may be familiar with these words. Love is patient and love is kind. And love is not jealous or envious. It doesn't brag or boast. It's not rude or irritable. It doesn't rejoice in injustice, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Some officiant, pastor, priest, leader has read these words to a couple as they have recited their nuptials. Love can also be defined as having a deep affection for someone or something. But what's interesting is we've kind of devalued this word because we say things like, I love those shoes. I love that outfit. I love that car. I love chocolate. Oh, I love that song. And then we turn around and we say, I love you. Oh, man. It's no wonder we're so confused about love. I would say that love is not just a feeling, but love is a decision motivated by our ethics, morals, and values, and beliefs, and our character. Love is a decision. See, the cat in our story, he reminds Alfred of his opinion that every chance he got. It says a lot about the character of the cat, or someone who puts down someone every chance they get. There's a saying that rings true here, and that is, hurt people hurt people. Like when someone's hurting, they have a tendency to hurt others. And I would say that a character like the cat and even people in our lives who every chance they get are putting us down, it's typically because they're hurting. See, we project our judgments onto others based on our own struggles that we ourselves are having. Our pain can cause us to have a distorted view of ourselves and of others. So what made Alfred and what makes anyone unlovable? See, when we internalize the opinions of others and we begin to question ourselves, this is an identity crisis. And it emerges as we are using the measure of other people's words to determine our worth. Oh, my goodness. It's just interesting to me, and it's intriguing to me when I work with other people, whether it's kids or adults, and I notice that somebody else's words is having a negative impact on their lives. I always ask, like, why does that person's words matter so much to you? Like the words get you having a conversation with yourself that's like, what is it about me that makes them feel the way about me? Like, how come they don't love me? How come they don't like me? Why are they saying those things about me? Typically, the things that others are critical of in us or in other people are the things that people cannot change. Like, I can't change how tall I am. I can't change the color of my skin. I can't, I mean, I could do some bleaching, but I mean, in all reality, I'm probably not going to do that. I can't change where I'm from, which parents I was born to, with a family that I was a part of growing up. I can't change any of those things. I could get LASIK surgery and not have to wear these glasses, but I don't. And typically, the things that people are critical of about us, they're things that we can't change. So it makes me ask the question, why does everyone else become the standard for the best version of you? Mm-hmm. Like, we could say that Albert just needs to get some new friends, or but that's way easier said than done. Like, there is something wrong with Alfred's thinking, and not necessarily about where Alfred lives. And moving, for some of us, may not even be an option. Like, I might need to continue to work that job that I'm working. I'm at school if I'm a student. My parents may not move us to a new neighborhood. I am in this class with these people. I'm at work with these people. I live in this community with these people. And sometimes what we need is a new community, but that doesn't mean we have to move to get one. Mm. Oh, here we go in the story, right? This new family moves next door. This dog comes and is like, hey. He says, my name is Rex. Alfred says, I'm Alfred. All right. And what I appreciate about this right here is that Alfred has not lost all hope. Like, Alfred's being resilient. The new family represented a new opportunity for him to make a meaningful connection. He's like, maybe they have a dog and maybe we can be friends. Like, he has hope that this can get better. I'm telling you that that's part of the formula to coming out of this place where you feel unlovable, is knowing that there's somebody, there is a community of people out there who will love you just for being you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But what's interesting is this new opportunity for Alfred, and sometimes the new opportunities for us, do not always translate into new behaviors. New behaviors. Good gosh, right? So sometimes, right, what happens is we end up with new opportunities, but we still act the same way we've been acting. Like, when we have been seeped in negative environments, we become impacted by the conditions, and then we treat ourselves and the others the way we've been treated. Alfred lies about his identity. Like, it's because he was afraid of being rejected. Our fears of rejection will cause us to reject ourselves. Alfred says, I'm a golden retriever, when clearly he's a pug. Why does he select this identity, though? Oh, it's very telling about why we choose certain identities. He chooses the golden retriever because he is struggling with rejection, and he selected a breed that has characteristics he knew would be acceptable to others. Ooh, how often do we start taking on characteristics, and we are faking it because we want people to accept us? We are trying to gain people's acceptance, so we show up in ways that are not authentically us, but ways in which we know is going to get their acceptance. And isn't it interesting that he didn't pretend to be like any of the others who were rejecting him? He didn't try to pretend to be a Doberman or a poodle or a German Shepherd or anything. Like, he pretended to be an animal that wasn't even listed. He didn't try to be a parrot or a goldfish or a cat even. He said he was a golden retriever. Mm. See, what Alfred was saying is, their opinions about me matter, but their identities are not worth imitating. I'm just telling you that sometimes what we have to determine is that even though I'm allowing their words to matter, their identity is not worth imitating. I don't want to become like the people who are mistreating me. Can we just talk for a moment, though, about loneliness and social isolation? Like, a consequence of lovelessness, of our lovelessness, is loneliness, and sometimes it's social isolation. Like, loneliness can be described as the emotion, or the emotional response, should I say, of the temporary and involuntary state of not having meaningful connection with others. Right? It is temporary and typically involuntary. Right? I didn't choose this; it just is. Right? I don't think that Alfred chose to be lonely. Right? But social isolation is it's a different thing. It can look like loneliness, but it is a lack of contact between an individual and society, and it is the result of a choice of the individual. Oh, sometimes we isolate in order to keep ourselves from being rejected. And I'm telling you that this is a real problem in our society because we have not really recovered from COVID and the effects of COVID. Like, we have not really done well with reconnecting. There are some who are still struggling with social isolation and some who are still struggling with loneliness. As a matter of fact, in an interview that Dr. Tyler Vandenweel in the October 23rd, 2023 version of the Harvard Gazette, he was talking about some research he had done, and he says, and I quote, "Those who were more lonely were about 40% more likely to die over the next 4 years, while those who are socially isolated were about 75% more likely to die." And he was talking about seniors, like when he studied seniors and their mortality. What he was saying is that those who were lonely were 40% more likely to die sooner, and then those who were socially isolated, 75% more likely to die sooner. Man. Okay. All right. And a little older study, but I think that has great implications here. All right. A study entitled Social Relationships and Morality Risk. It says this, that living with air pollution increases your odds of dying early by 5%. Right? Living with obesity by 20%. Excessive drinking, 30%. Living with loneliness, 45%. Y'all, living with loneliness, right? It increases your odds of dying early by 45%, y'all. Oh my gosh. You know what that tells me? It tells me that we were made for belonging and connection. We were designed to really connect with people and not be alone. And we choose, when we choose to stay in isolation, when we choose, right, to cut ourselves off from others, it can cause death. Oh my gosh. I told y'all before in the previous conversation that loneliness is a form of starvation. We starve ourselves to death when we cut ourselves off from people. And our unwillingness to extend love, oh, it is a betrayal of our hearts and minds because we were made to love. And guess what? Love only works in community. Oh my goodness. So this is what I'm saying to you, that it's not just on the person in isolation or the person who is experiencing loneliness to just try to solve this all by themselves. We too, as a community, have a responsibility to extend love, to extend ourselves, to accept others, to embrace others, to connect with others in meaningful ways so that no one has to live in isolation. But it's hard to love others when I'm struggling with myself. When I don't love myself, when I don't accept myself, like the first place I have to experience belonging is I have to accept that I belong to me. I belong to myself. Oh man, and we have strategies that we use to try to deal with this. Sometimes we use the strategy of fitting in, or we're seeking the approval of others, and these strategies actually become barriers of us becoming our most authentic selves. We do stuff like we say, "I don't need anybody else." Trash and lies. Anybody who tells you they don't need anybody else is not only lying to you, they are lying to themselves. We all need somebody else. Or we do stuff like we keep our feelings and thoughts to ourselves because we're afraid that if I express them, people will reject me. Oh, so unhealthy, so unhealthy. You know what this last one is? And we've talked a little bit about this before, but it's perfectionism. Like when we use perfectionism, it is our effort to try to avoid rejection. Because if I get it all right, you won't reject me. But ultimately, what results is we end up being excluded because of the way we show up when we operate in perfectionism. When everything has to be just right, it pushes people away. It doesn't draw them closer to you. My goodness, my goodness, oh my goodness. Brene Brown says it this way: true belonging does not require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. Jeez. True belonging does not require us to change who we are, but it requires us to be who we are. And this system, this society that we are part of, that's particularly on the social media platforms, like it is designed to monetize our need to belong by getting us to believe in trends and false senses of acceptance. Oh, okay. You do realize that most of the people who follow you, who like your posts, or who subscribe to your channels, they don't really know you. Like they're following, liking, subscribing, reposting. It's not their love. Because the only parts of you that they get to experience are the parts of you that you edit and put out there on the platform for the world to see. Somebody clicking a heart or clicking a thumbs up or responding to your post. That's not love. It's not love. Uh, I, I don't even know that that's acceptance. I would even stretch to say that it isn't even real connection. But this system is set up to get you to believe that if you get those things, then somehow you belong to something, that somehow you're part of something, you are connected. Man, if I don't belong to me first, then what I'm offering to anyone else is a lie. It's me pretending to be someone I'm not for the sake of you accepting me. There's a saying from the Latin American countries, and it goes like this, and forgive me if I jack up this Spanish. I think it's nade aquí, nade allá. Nade aquí, nade allá. And it means not from here and not from there. Oh my God. It means that I don't belong here and I don't belong there. I'm in limbo somewhere. And it means that where I really belong, though, the essence of that is where I belong is with me first. I belong with me wherever I am. That's where I belong. Oh, and the more self-acceptance we experience, the greater our sense of belonging. Like true connections happen when I feel seen, when I'm heard, and when I'm valued. We all need a community of people to see us, to hear us, to value us. And this can only happen when we make a decision to love. See, we must choose the deep affection for others that leads to a decision to be patient, to be kind, to not be irritable or unforgiving. It is decisions that help us to find hope, to endure, to believe in the value of our humanity. And we must be careful that we don't allow someone else or this culture to cause us to see each other as less than human. It's when we see each other less than human that we get to the place where we're unwilling to extend love to someone else. A difference of opinion does not make someone less valuable. It just makes them different. And different is good. See, each of us is held responsible for loving the Alfreds of the world, for creating space for our differences to be seen, heard, valued, and loved. Our world is a better place when we get to show up as our most authentic and vulnerable selves. Okay, so I want to share with you in Brene Brown's book, The Atlas of the Heart. It's an amazing read. But she quotes some students that she interviewed about belonging and fitting in and what they thought it meant. Because it's very telling when we see this, and it's so good. And so here's the first one. One student says, belonging is being somewhere where you want to be and they want you. But fitting in is being somewhere where you want to be, but they don't care one way or the other. Oh, from the mountain babes. Oh, so good, so good. Here's another one. Here's another one. If I get to be me, I belong. But if I have to be like you, then I fit in. Profound from the mouths of babes. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Okay. Last one. Not belonging at work or school is really hard, but it's nothing compared to what it feels like when you don't belong at home. I don't know about you, but I want to be home for someone. I want to be a safe place for someone, a place where no matter what else has happened in their lives, no matter what they've seen, no matter what they've experienced, no matter what's going on, that with me, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel valued. She ends that chapter with these three phrases or words or this phrase together, right? It says, be here, be you, belong. Because you are lovable. And you are enough. What a conversation, y'all. I'm Dante Poole. If you need help with this, if you're struggling with feeling loved, listen. Send the email, send a DM message, get to me. I'll help you walk through this. I'm Dante Poole. This is Life Sculptors, and I'll see you next time.